Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast. This is your escape for real, unscripted conversations about sports, hobbies, life, and storytelling. No scripts, no forced takes, just Man Cave talk. Now, here's your host, Dan Kasper.
We are going to play a little circle of trust. What the heck is this game? Well, we're going to take the 4 front office / GM / athletic directors in the state of Wisconsin. And I'm going to throw out the question, which one do you trust the most right now to bring home a championship? We'll make the case for both, for all of them, and make the case against all of them. And we'll let you, the listeners, decide. Now, a lot of you probably already have your picks. But I'm going to put my lawyer suit and tie on, and try to make the case for and the case against some of these. So let's start with the Milwaukee Brewers, because obviously with the trade of Caleb Durbin and such, they're at the forefront for a lot of us Wisconsin sports fans at this moment. So you look at what the Brewers, and we're looking at Pat Murphy and his crew. We're going to take away, for this exercise or for this game, let's take away coaching. Okay, let's take away the coaches. They're off the table here. We're straight up looking at the decision makers, the roster makers, or the program overseers, if you will. All right. So the Brewers, Matt Arnold, it's hard to argue with a lot of decisions that Matt Arnold has made since he has been the general manager for the Milwaukee Brewers. It's hard, right? Because a lot of them have worked. You look at guys like Quinn Priester, that trade seemed to have worked. You ship Devin Williams off to the Yankees, and you bring in Nestor Cortez and Caleb Durbin, and it felt like Brewers at least won that one, more so from Caleb Durbin, a top 3 rookie of the year. Well, now Caleb Durbin has been shipped off to bring in another pitcher. That remains to be seen how that's going to work out. But, you look at the Andrew Vaughn moves. You look at, some of the other moves and call-ups and trade acquisitions and free agent signings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Ultimately, a lot of these decision makers are going to be graded upon or looked upon winning. How often do you win? And how close are you, or how close have you been to a championship? So, again, it is hard to argue a lot with what Matt Arnold has done with some of his moves. And I think he has definitely gotten a lot of trust from the fan base. In Matt Arnold, we trust, because a lot of his moves, more so than not, have turned out to be pretty good. They've turned out to be pretty good. But they've won a lot of games in the regular season. Last 2 years, won back-to-back division championships. Last year, setting a franchise record of 97 wins, right? But once they've gotten to the postseason, do they have a roster year in and year out that can win in the postseason? It's a roster that can win a lot of games in the regular season and get them to the postseason. But when it comes to the postseason, to the playoffs, and to win a championship, they've fallen short. Now, they finally won a series this past year against the Cubbies, but then going up against the vaunted Dodgers, you get swept. And the one criticism from the Brewers over the last few years, is, do they have enough power in the lineup? Do they have enough offense in the lineup? Do they need to add that power to compete more in the postseason? Do they need to be more active by the trade deadline to acquire some of those players? So the seasons, and they're like exceeding expectations again when they are into, their respective seasons and such. And one criticism from fans has always been, can you make a move by the trade deadline and take advantage of this year? Now, again, I realize with the Brewers and such, a lot does come from ownership, okay, and budgets and payrolls. I understand that. And that probably should factor into this. But, when you look at some of the moves and that you look at priorities maybe, it seems like right now the Brewers are prioritizing long-term pitching health, long-term starting pitching health with a lot of these young controllable arms for years to come, cheap arms for years to come. Is it the right mindset that the Brewers are building? The run prevention, playing good defense, playing maybe a little bit more small ball. Get on base, take that extra base. Defense and speed galore. So while it's hard to argue with the amount of wins that Matt Arnold has built with his teams over the years, the amount of regular season wins, the question comes down to, is he building teams that can actually compete in the postseason, though? Is it the right path? Is it the right way? That's been a criticism from some fans over the years. You're winning in the regular season, but we want a little bit more now. It's not enough just to make the postseason anymore. We want a little bit more. We want to win a championship. We want to win a World Series in Milwaukee. We want to get back to one. A lot of us haven't experienced that. And I think for a lot of fans, it's like, no offense to 82, but can we talk about a championship winner? So that's probably the two. And it's very similar to Green Bay. You put together rosters, you win games in the regular season, you do just enough in the regular season the last few years to get to the postseason, but you fall short. And you look at the job that Brian Gutekunst has done over the last few years and look to the future. He's got an extension. He's not going anywhere. You look at last year, obviously acquiring Micah Parsons, got the fan base all pumped up. And it was a big move, something that's pretty rare in Green Bay, right? Because they value draft picks. They build through the draft. They rely on their scouting department. They rely on young talent to build that core consistently over the last few years. One of the youngest, if not the youngest, rosters across the National Football League. So they rely on that talent. They've done a good job of identifying quarterbacks, for crying out loud, right? There's no doubt they've got talent. But in critical areas, have they fallen a bit short? Let's look at last year. Corners. The decision to go into the season with Keyshawn Nixon, Hobbs, and Valentine as your top three. Offensive line. The decisions that they made with that department. Moving Elton Jenkins to center. Signing Aaron Banks. Moving Jordan Morgan all across the board. So Milwaukee and Green Bay, I think you could make the case they're very similar in terms of they can win you games to get to the postseason. But where have they fallen just a bit short? It's in the postseason. And I think a lot of Packers fans, like some Brewers fans right now, are saying it's not enough to just get to the postseason. You got to come away with championships now. That's the expectation. If you're going to call yourself Title Town, and you got these quarterbacks that a lot of teams would kill to have. You got to take advantage of it, and you got to do it now. So you could draw a lot of parallels between these two. The difference, and we have to acknowledge it, the difference is money. NFL compared to Major League Baseball, NFL is operating under the same salary cap. Everybody's the same. Major League Baseball, in terms of Matt Arnold, he's kind of got a salary cap. If you think about it, he's got a budget. Whereas other teams, nah. Yeah, you got luxury taxes and aprons and such, but maybe Matt Arnold is it fair to say Matt Arnold might be just a skosh more handcuffed than Guti, even though Guti does have a salary cap, but maybe just a skosh more because it depends on what the owner is willing to spend in Milwaukee's case, year by year and such. I think you can make that case. What about the Bucks? Okay, Jon Horst. He's the man over there. You look at it. Yeah, he has brought a championship to Milwaukee. But since then, there's been a lot of shortcomings. There's been a lot of roster turnover surrounding Giannis, right? Doing this to make Giannis happy, doing this to try to bring in, more talent, whether it was Dame or this offseason with Miles Turner, trying to do something to get another championship in Milwaukee while Giannis has been there. And I think for, Brewers fans, I think it's fair to say what they're seeing Jon Horst and the Bucks do, they kind of like the Brewers at times. Not everybody, but they'd like the Brewers to do it because one thing Brewers fans have said over the years, some of them have said, can we just push our chips in the middle for 1 year or a couple of years? Can we just be aggressive in the offseason? Can we do this just to try, just to push that needle a little bit, just try? Bucks have done that. A lot of the moves haven't worked out. But for a lot of people, they'll say at least they tried instead of standing pat. So, there's cases for that and cases against that. There's definitely, you look at it, hindsight 2020 for a lot of these moves from the Bucks. That didn't work out. Dame didn't work out at the time. Were you all excited? Were we excited? Heck yeah, it made sense. Like, okay, Chris Middleton, kind of injuries catching up and such. He's, not the Robin to the Batman. The Bucks need another scorer to pair up with Giannis and not completely rely on Giannis. It looked like Dame was going to be that guy. It didn't work out. And now you look at the decisions that they've made, whether to make Giannis happy or to try to be uber aggressive to get a championship, and they're kind of in a hole right now. Yes, they've kept Giannis. They have not succumbed to public or media pressure to trade Giannis. And who knows what's going to happen this offseason. But going forward, we're not looking at the past. Horst has led them to a championship. We're not looking at that past. We're looking at the now and the future. Do you trust them to be able to bring another championship back when it looks like this year they ain't making the postseason? It might be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. And then you've got the Badgers. And this one obviously is a little bit different, although you look at the college sports world and you kind of see the NIL and now salary caps and divvying up cash to athletes and such. It's becoming more of a pro game than anything. But I get it. Athletic director different than general manager and such. So athletic director-wise, we're looking at the moves that they are essentially making from the coaching side of things, right? Or decisions on how to allocate NIL money and all that stuff. But obviously the big one here when we talk about Chris McIntosh and the Wisconsin Badgers is the football program. The decision to hire Luke Fickell over Jimmy Leonhard. And let's rewind it. All right, just for this. At the time, I think the majority of fans were like, feel bad for Jimmy, love Jimmy, would have loved to have seen Jimmy get the job, but you were intrigued and like, oh man, but we got Luke Fickell, the guy who took Cincinnati to the college playoffs and such. Man, didn't think that was going to happen. That hasn't worked out so far either. Whether it's been poor NIL numbers, not able to pay players, such philosophy, coaching, that sort of thing. But you look at other sports too. Wisconsin women's basketball. Obviously Mike Hastings was a hire from McIntosh. McIntosh did not hire Sheffield, did not hire Mark Johnson, did not hire Greg Gard. So can't really rest on those ones. We're just kind of looking at some of the coaching hirings to lead those programs. And McIntosh, I would probably say there's maybe not a lot of enthusiasm from Badgers fans or a lot of trust from Badgers fans going forward with that one. And I'll admit it's hard. It's hard to make the case for McIntosh right now, but maybe to take it from a positive aspect of this is, okay, you're saying you're going to put more money into the program. You're saying you're going to put more money into the football NIL program so you can, allocate more resources to such. And at least it seems like the football program did a decent job with the transfer portal, but we've been down that path before, right? 4-star recruits, 3-star recruits, 2-star recruits, 5, whatever, transfer guys in and out. We won't actually know until they get on the field, get on the court, and start playing. So maybe there's a little bit of excitement there, but I'll just say McIntosh is 4th on my list out of 4. There's been more questionable, poor decisions than there has been good or solid. 3 on my list is going to be Jon Horst. Just looking at it from the future, I think they've dug themselves into a deep hole that is going to be very hard to get out of. I liked the Cam Thomas signing. I like that they're, not succumbing to the pressure to trade Giannis and such. I just don't see a path right now where they can really get out of that hole sooner rather than later and try to compete for a championship. I don't see that right now. And the point that we didn't mention a little bit earlier, I don't get his thoughts on the coaches he's bringing in. That has been just a one mistake after the other. Maybe when it comes to Horst, Jon Horst, the question is which decision making has been the poorest from him? Has it been roster construction or coaching decisions? Which one? That's probably a debate in itself. And for whatever reason, they're, still holding on to Doc. And I don't right now trust them to maybe look at the coaching department and maybe think about reevaluating that. I don't trust them at this point. So Jon Horst is number 3 for me. So then you've got 2 franchises who I think are very similar in a lot of ways in terms of their success recently. Winning games in the regular season, getting to the postseason, but falling short in the postseason. That's the Brewers and the Packers. Honestly, and I'm a little surprised, I'm going this way. Number 2 is probably Goody and the Packers, and number 1 is Matt Arnold. And I say that because while I loved the Micah Parsons trade, and that was a home run, that is we are serious about winning a Super Bowl now. We're serious about this, and we're going to go for it. And a lot of his player acquisitions, drafts, trades, some free agents have worked out. I can't get over the Nate Hobbs and Aaron Banks one right now. And I don't know if that's going to come back to hurt them and kind of handcuff them in terms of some decisions going forward. Because I look at this roster right now, you need help on offensive line. You need help in cornerbacks. You probably need some more depth at defensive line. It's a slight advantage over Matt Arnold because I feel like Matt Arnold has made more. How do I want to say this? He has made more less splashy moves that have really worked out. Like his moves, we didn't know anything about Quinn Priester, and all of a sudden Quinn Priester wins you double-digit games. These other moves and these other players, the Andrew Vaughn pickup, trading Aaron Savali for Andrew Vaughn. It's like, okay, who, what, whatever, and then ends up being a big-time player on the stretch. Now, could they have predicted that to happen? Probably not. But there's been some moves. It's like, who, what, why? Oh, that actually worked out. So I think just by right now on February 10th, 2026, the general manager that is in the circle of trust for me, if I had to pick one, it's Matt Arnold, because his moves have, I would say, more times than not worked out. And I'm willing to see this one play out with the Caleb Durbin trade. Goody's close. I think this is going to be a big year. This is going to be a big offseason for that. Jon Horst and Chris McIntosh are on the outside. They're not in that circle yet. They're not in that circle of trust. Matt Arnold gets my trust right now. The trade caught me off guard, I think, like a lot of people. But given his history and just kind of his resume so far, I'm willing to see this one play out. Goody's close. It's just some of his outside of the Micah Parsons decision, the trade for that, some of the other ones have been kind of, that's what's giving me a little bit of pause.